Hi family, I'm Dr. Brenda Woburiasti. I'm a licensed daycare provider, a published author of 3 children's books, an advocate, a consultant, a veteran's wife, and a mother. If you need help setting up your daycare service or just looking for great ideas to incorporate a play-based learning approach as well as learn about research-based solutions to issues impacting education, this is the channel for you. Subscribe, share, like. Thank you. Today we're talking about 10 major cons of being an in-home daycare provider, and this is not to scare you or discourage you. Number 1 is lack of random breaks. The reason why I'm doing the cons first, because I'm going to do the pros, is because in every occupation there is always a con or a couple of cons, and you look past that to get in it if you really love it, and that same goes for daycare. So the first one here is that it is very, very difficult to just take a random day off work if you work at daycares, because ratios, child-to-teacher ratios are very, very important. And also, if as an in-home daycare, you can't just close. I can't just wake up and say, oh, I have a headache, I'm not going to be open today, because there are a lot of families relying on me to open the door when they knock on that door, So we cannot just go ahead and take off whenever we like. But if you were working like the regular 9 to 5 jobs where you had a boss, you could call your boss and you could call out, But for daycare, you are the boss. You own the business, and the business is right there in your house. So you cannot just wake up one day and say, hey, imagine it depends on how many parents you have. So if you have 5 parents, you have 10 parents, you have 15 parents, that's the amount of parents you need to inform, either by call, text, email, however, that, oh, I'm going to be closing. And you know what happens? If you're the person who takes random breaks whenever you like, you're not going to have clients. And if you do, they are not going to stay, because they need someone who's reliable and stable. At Little Rubies, our holiday schedule is already done and ready for the beginning of the year. And parents already have that, in somewhere. I tell them, put it on your refrigerator, and they know when we're off and everything. Okay, so let's talk about boss mode always. Number 2, you are always on boss mode as a daycare provider, even on the weekends, even when you're sleeping. Sometimes I'm sleeping and I jump up and I'm like, oh man, did I do the menus? What about the newsletter? What about have we done the accounting? It's tax season. What else is the daycare clean? Do I need to make tour? Do I need to set up tours? Is anybody coming? What's on my calendar? You are always constantly on boss mode. How are the kids doing? Do we have enough food at home for next week? Do we need to go shopping? Do I need to make a list for toys? Oh my goodness, guys. You are always constantly on boss mode, and that makes the job fun for me. Personally, I think that makes the job fun and exciting and interesting. I know I saw a quote somewhere where they say there's no space for sitting at the top. That's exactly what describes daycare. You are constantly busy, constantly doing something mentally or physically. Whether you're closed or on vacation, it doesn't matter. You're constantly busy because you're always on boss mode. You're counting, you're checking your numbers, you're checking if you're growing or if you're not growing. You're checking enrollments and taxes and shopping for food and for toys and planning the curriculum, planning lessons, planning fun activities for the children to explore. And for now, right now in the summer, planning summer trips and all kinds of great stuff. So you're constantly on boss mode. You're a wearer of many hats. The boss mode kind of describes this, but not really. As an in-home daycare, you are the accountant. You are the media representative. You are the social media person. You are like me, I'm creating YouTube videos. I do them all myself. I'm the editor and the creator and the originator. I'm the person who's thinking about the videos. I'm the cook. I am the caregiver. I do get help, thankfully, but I'm constantly there. I'm constantly available at the daycare, and that's even what the state says. You have to be at the daycare most of the time if you're an in-home daycare provider. You can't just be an in-home daycare provider and get another job somewhere and leave your daycare with somebody else. No. And also, if any major thing happens at your in-home daycare, you are responsible, So you have all kinds of, you're wearing all kinds of hats. Sometimes you are the nurse, because when children are sick or they need medication and you have medication administration and you can administer medication, you do it. You become you stand in place of the nurse. I mean, you are everything as an in-home daycare provider. It's a job for the strong-hearted and the hard-working people, because if you're not hard-working and you are not strong-hearted, you will not last. So it's a good thing you're watching this video. If you're planning to open an in-home daycare, it's a good thing you're watching this video, because it's not for the faint of heart, but it's a fun job. If you love children, it's an amazing job to do. And also working from home, it's an amazing thing to do. I mean, when you work from home, that's amazing. So that is number 3. Let's talk about number 4. Wear and tear on your home. Okay, let me think of the most expensive repairs we've done because of daycare. Once, one of the children clogged up the toilet the first day, and I didn't know it was that child, because we went in the toilet and it was clogged up. I knew it was one of the kids because they had paper napkins in there. Okay, so we cleaned it up, we flushed the toilet and all of that, and then it happened again the second time, and then we discovered who did it. So I started following that child to the bathroom. That child was old enough to go independently, but after the second clog, I started following the child to the bathroom. Now, a week later, the roof at the basement fell in one room in the bathroom, and the repairman said he did not find any leak anywhere, but the only thing he thinks is when the toilet clogged up upstairs, it messed up the roof, and the roof fell, and that cost us $500. You won't believe it, but that's the most expensive thing we've had to repair. But if you have an in-home daycare, you're going to constantly repair something. It's always constant wear and tear. Toys are breaking and you need to repair them or buy new ones. You need to buy batteries for toys that need batteries. You need a new carpet. We just changed our floor in the kitchen, and because of constant use and wetness, the floor needed changing. That I will not say is because of daycare. I'll just say it's because of living. Lots of people moving in and out of there, and we needed to change that. But also the walls, the children, they like to pull on the walls, they like to scratch the walls, so we do have to repaint occasionally the walls. We have, there are some things that got broken in the backyard, and we had to call the handyman to come fix it. Sometimes, my goodness, just a lot of wear and tear on your home. Where the in our old house, where the visitors came in from the front door, That carpet, we had to change it because it was old and it was ripping in pieces. So daycare as a business will make your house have all kinds of wear and tear, and this is something for you to watch out and look out for, so that as it's breaking, you're fixing, especially toys. And if the state representative comes to see me and she looks around the house and there are some breaking things that are kind of dangerous for the children, she will give me a citation. So I always make sure my house is up to par. Okay, number 5, let's talk about sick children. Okay, we all know, everybody knows about sick children. We watch Judge Judy all the time in this house, and she's always saying, talking about children and how they are sick all the time and how her kids were sick all the time. Children are constantly getting sick, and it could be viruses, it could be bacteria, it could be anything. And when a child brings in a cold to the daycare, the owner may catch it. The owner's husband, the owner's children, the owner's family, people who work there, the other families may catch it. There's hand, foot, and mouth, which is very communicable. Oh man, let me not forget C-19, and we are still going through the pandemic, and that too, it could be that I haven't been unlucky with sicknesses coming at my daycare. Thankfully, I thank God for that. But at other places, daycares have had to close, especially during the pandemic, because somebody brought in COVID and everybody got sick and they had to quarantine. Now, in Virginia, we have the test to stay. So I do get test kits. And if I suspect anybody has COVID, with the permission of the parents, so the child can stay at daycare, I have to test the child. I haven't had that yet. I haven't had to do that yet, and I'm very grateful for that. So, that's it. Kids get sick, and kids bring sickness to daycare, and and that can spread it to everybody in contact with that particular child. Or you know what else? Toys. When they play with toys, sometimes they put it in their mouth. They're spreading all kinds of diseases. So, and that's why we clean all the time. Okay, number 6, your home is your job. Okay, can you imagine that you're at work 24/7? Can you imagine that? When I first started, actually, I did 24/7 daycare. So children could come here at all times of the day, at night, they slept over, But as I got established and people started knowing my business, I stopped doing 24 hours. But it doesn't matter when I get off work, I am still working. And also, I still have the daycare staring me in the eyes. It's not like the 9-to-5 job you do. You drive there, you go to work, you do your work, and then you say, goodbye, I'm leaving, and then you go home. And you leave your job right there at home. At work. Teachers never really leave their work at work like that, but then they bring it home. But theirs is mental. Ours is both physical and mental, because we're seeing the physical representations of daycare and mental as well. So you're thinking of it and you're also seeing it. So your home is always a job, and your job is always your home. Number 7, tantrums and crying. Okay, if you're not used to crying or tantrums, then just know that daycare is not for you, because in a day, depending on how many children you have, you can have at least 2 tantrums. Even if it's just one child, the toddlers and even infants at a certain level or age are prone to tantrums. And there are many reasons why. One of the major reasons is because they are still learning to communicate their emotions. They're learning to communicate their needs. Many of them don't really have words yet. Some who do have words do not have sentences. So the only way they know to express themselves is through tantrums. So at daycare, we teach the children that tantruming and crying is not the solution to anything. We teach them to be expressive with their words and sentences as opposed to tantrums, And in doing that, sometimes you have to ignore the crying, you have to ignore the tantrums. Now, ignoring does not mean you turn your back and let the child get hurt, because when they are tantruming, they don't even... I was just talking to a mother not too long ago. Her child just started tantruming, and that child will fall back, not even looking where they are falling. And there was one time that child fell and hit the back of the head really hard. So I had to tell the mother about that. So we are teaching these children, because tantrums can inflict harm on the children, and teaching them to express their emotions and to use words to express their needs can help reduce tantrums and crying. And also, when a child is tantruming at a certain age, you have to see if that is developmentally appropriate, because by the time a child is like 2.5, 3-year-old, 4-year-old, and also depending on their developmental level, are they talking yet? Are they expressing themselves yet? And they still keep crying constantly, it may be something to look at. It could be a social problem, It could be something that has to do with anger. It could be the child expressing some kind of displeasure or experiences they've had at home. It could be anything. So there comes a stage, and that's why it's good as a daycare provider to know the developmental capacities of the children in your care, because there comes a certain age where tantrums and crying become, excessive tantrum and crying become something that you need to worry about, and something you need to talk to the parents about so they can fix it. Otherwise, you have to get used to it. Okay, number 8, inconsistent income. Okay, daycare providers, you know exactly what I'm talking about. When you're a daycare provider, in-home daycare provider, your income is very inconsistent. One day you can have a full house, the next day somebody's moving away, a parent is displeased with your service, or they just don't want to pay. I've had parents. I already have a very specific payment schedule, so there's no mistaking it. But I've had parents in the past, thankfully not present, who will go on vacation and not want to pay. And then when they come back, I have to say, have you forgotten, you didn't pay before you went on vacation. Can I get the tuition now? And they look at you and say, tuition? Do I have to pay when my child is on vacation? Yeah, you do have to pay when your child is on vacation. So that's another topic for another day, because I do have to talk about that. But our income is not very stable and regular and consistent. Okay, this one, everybody probably can relate with this. Daycare providers have very, very long hours of work. I told you when I first started daycare, I was doing 24/7 just to get myself established and also to make more money. But as I got established and people knew me and I got full, I reduced my hours. But even still, we're working. And sometimes I get children dropped off by 6:30 a.m. till 6 p.m. in the evening. I'm working. So on the average, we work at least 11, 12, 13 hours a day. Okay, number 10, consistent alertness. Okay, you know what it is. When you're dealing with children, you have to be consistently alert. You have to see, you have to hear, you have to smell. Sometimes you may not see, because you're doing other things. Like when I'm changing diapers, I'm looking down at the child, I'm changing their diapers. I'm not looking at the others, but I'm listening. And if you have children who have speech and they started talking, you really need to listen to their conversation, because you still have to supervise that as well. Children can be mean to one another, and we're teaching them to be polite, we're teaching them to be nice to one another, to be kind to each other. So we're listening to their conversations. Also, we're listening to them. Like if a child is coughing, you want to know, who's that child coughing constantly? Maybe they are sick, maybe they need to get checked. Your nose is constantly working. Did somebody poop? Did somebody fart? Is something stinky in here? So you have to be constantly aware. Stay tuned for the pros, and don't forget, prayers get answered, miracles still happen, and every single thing is possible. We love you all. Subscribe if you're not, and stay tuned for more. Bye.